you can't commute from the south, right? Unless you have a high-speed boat and you live in Rochester, right? It just
yeah, of course.
it impacts the market. And, I think for the longest time in some of these cities, when they were smaller and they had less population, you could get in your car and you could drive 30, 40 minutes. But now that the congestion has just gone through the roof in a lot of these major cities, you can't spend 2 hours in your car trying to get to work, not only for the time, but just for the frustration of it.
Yeah. So certainly not during construction season.
Yeah, so it's forcing people to reconsider the trade-off between commuting and living downtown and paying a higher price for housing.
Right, absolutely. But I mean, when you sort of look long term, people always say in economics all markets are cyclical. And in the Toronto real estate market, it seems to have been just going up, flat, up again, maybe stopped a little, but really up, up, and up. So I guess my question to you is, I am very positive about the market, but at some point, is there going to be an economic cycle where things don't go so well?
Yes, of course there will be. We've been very, very fortunate that other than, a tiny blip in late 2008, early 2009 in the condo market, and there was even a little bit in 2012 and into 2013 in the new condo market. There was a bit of a slowdown there, but otherwise it's been very, very strong for 17, 18 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's really an unprecedented appreciation in the marketplace. But when we have a major recession, and we will have another major recession, and it will be something that's unexpected, something that, I've seen Calgary that didn't expect oil prices to go down 70%. We certainly didn't expect oil prices to go down 70% and that to impact the market. Luckily in Toronto, we're a little more diversified in terms of our employment base. We're not a commodities driven market where that's one sector of the economy is influencing the employment. So we're a little more isolated that way, but a recession will hit and prices will go down, and really it's going to be anyone's guess how much they go down and how difficult it is for people. Obviously the faster they go up, the faster they come down, right? So that if Vancouver prices are going up 30% a year, well, they're much more likely to go down 30% a year than Toronto that's going up 12% a year, right? The likelihood that they would go down 30% is much less, right? So it's certainly something, I get nervous when prices start to get into double-digit annual increases, but I look at it across the board, right? I don't just look at the overall market. I look at what are single detached doing, what are semis doing, what are towns doing, what the condo market is doing, and we try to guess it, try to make an assessment that way, right? So
sure. So then when do you even think or predict when you think that there might be more of an economic downturn in the market? Do you think that's 5 years away? Do you think that's 2 or 3 years away?
I wish I had a crystal ball.
What, you don't?
I could tell you that. The world is we're living in such a globalized nation now. It's so interconnected to all the financial markets that something's going to happen. There's always some greed. There's always something that throws the market for a loop. And I wish I knew when it was coming or where it was coming from, but I can't, right? So, certainly my advice always to anyone that's either buying for their primary residence or buying for investment is buy for the long term. Never go into a real estate purchase thinking I'm gonna sell this in a year, or I want to flip this in 2 years, because you never know what the market's going to be like in 2 years, and you never want to be in a situation where you're forced to sell. That is that's the worst situation that you want to be in, all right? And that's how people lose money. When they lose their job and they can't afford their house, then that's when they lose money. Obviously you can't control when you're gonna lose your house, but buy below your means. I preach that. People say, "Oh, you're a developer. You want everyone to buy." Well, I don't want everyone to buy. I don't want to be a situation where mortgages are underwater and things are really bad for an extended period of time, right? So I want people to. We have lots of investors. We have lots of investment units for people to rent in, right? If that works better for their lifestyle, and it's only better for the real estate investors that we have in our kind of the Fortress family, right? So I want people to buy what they can afford, and yes, it's frustrating that prices go up. I'm in the same situation. My wife wants a bigger house. She wants a backyard and a 2 2-car garage and, all that fun stuff. But, I refuse to live beyond my means. And if the situation presents itself where we can afford that type of home in the future, then maybe we'll move and maybe we won't. Right. So,
right.
Yeah, and certainly I give the same advice to anyone else that's in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so, when you read the newspapers over the last few years, lots of doom and gloom. Every year, whether it's the Globe or Maclean's, or it seems like almost every Canadian publication is printing the same article about the doom and gloom in the market, the crash, it's coming. Now, every single year they get it wrong. I think I've probably read the same article for the last 10 years, every single year. And I'm always amazed that they never actually go back and go, hey, wait a minute, we got it wrong. Let's go back and think about what did we get wrong? What's going on? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the newspapers, what's their mandate? Their mandate is to present the news, but their mandate is to get the people to read, get the people to buy their newspaper or go to their site, right? And as sad as it is, bad news sells better than good news. It's just it's a reality, right? When you turn on the evening news, well, what do they talk about? The crash here, the person that got poisoned there, someone got killed over here, right? It's unfortunate, but very rarely is the lead boy saves puppy from tree, right? It's just market stable, right? They don't talk about companies that just hired 2,000 people, right? They talk about a company that laid off 2,000 people. It's the reality of it. People click on those articles much more frequently than they do positive articles. And
right.
It's unfortunate, but that's the nature of it. And people always want to give people that, the possibility of something going poorly, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of the analysis that's being done is, not particularly good analysis or weak arguments, weak statistical arguments, right? And very rarely do people understand other markets that are similar to ours and what's happening in those markets, why those markets went up or down, right? Mm-hmm. It really takes a little bit more. I've been doing this for real estate analysis for over 15 years, and I'm still studying all these markets and trying to understand, why one went up and why one went down, and what trends are influencing each marketplace. There's so much different between each market that can change the data that comes out of those markets, right? So it really takes a kind of a level of expertise to understand it. But again, putting an upside down house on fire on the cover of your magazine is going to sell some magazines, right? So when I bet you that the author of that article really doesn't believe some of the things that he's writing anyways.
You're right. That makes sense. I think you touched on it earlier, saying your wife wants a bigger place. So do you own or rent are you in a house or a condo?
We live in a condo townhome.
Ah,
so
okay.
For me, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? I don't want to climb on roofs and get leaves out of gutters or wash windows or cut grass or do gardening, right? So my house is nicely well maintained, along with all the other townhomes on my block. I have no backyard to worry about, so I don't have to maintain that. But we live right beside a park, so I take the kids over there. There's a little kids area, so that's where I take the kids. Place for the dog to run around close by. So for me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. I'm in the city of Toronto. I'm in the Upper Beaches area, so I've got a streetcar there. I've got a GO train stop, the last GO train before Union Station, so it takes me 12 minutes to get from there down to Union. The subway close by, I can walk to it in 5 minutes, but I still can drive to a grocery store and park. I can drive to big box. So for me, it's kind of the combination of everything, right? It's condominium. I don't have to worry about the maintenance, but it's still low rise. I don't have to park 4 floors underground condominium and walk my way up or wait for elevators, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. It almost feels like the suburbs, but it's in the city, and it's still condominiumized. So I don't have to deal with all that other BS, but I still have the kind of the comforts of a low-rise home. So for me, I really like where we live. I bought it new in 2009, so I had it under warranty. It's got ceilings that are high enough for a 6'6" guy. So everything's good. I have zero skills in being handy, so that's why I preferred to buy new. But I have to fix anything.
That makes sense. I think it's always about recognizing where your talents and strengths and weaknesses are and buying accordingly. That makes the most sense to me.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ben. Ben, if people have questions, if they want to get your manuscript, how should they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I mean the two best ways, to www.fortressrealdevelopments.com is the company site. On my Twitter is Ben Myers29. So that's a good way to reach out to me. I tweet my articles I do in the Sun and the new condo guide and the rest of my writing, Renex magazine, Huffington Post. So a bunch of the stuff, my writings, I link onto my own Twitter page. Have conversations about the housing market on a fairly regular basis. So a lot of information there that can be found on my Twitter page and at fortressrealdevelopments.com.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Ben. That was Ben Myers,
Perfect.
Senior Vice President of Market Research Analytics at Fortress Real Developments. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And you can find me at devel@bosleyrealestate.com or at Twitter at Devel Morrison or on Instagram at Devel Morrison. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Morrison Report. Hosted by Devel Morrison, sales representative for Bosley Real Estate Limited Brokerage, real estate investor and best-selling author, bringing you insights on the Toronto real estate market. Join us for another podcast.